Good morning, everyone. This is Gail with TradersHelpDesk, and in this video, I'm actually going to go over what I'm going to be doing on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. You can sign up for the sessions using the link that I've posted below, but basically, I'm going to be going over what I anticipate the Forex market to do in the coming week. So with that in mind, I'm just going to briefly go over what I would be looking at for today's market. Now, the first place that I actually start is in the scanner window. And the reason is pretty simple. It gives me a brief overview of everything that's going on the multiple time frames. So for example, I can see that the US CAD and the USD Swiss franc currently is oversold on the 1 hour. Then if you look at the Aussie dollar and the euro dollar, it is oversold on the daily, and the US CAD is oversold on the weekly. Now what I like to see is for it to be oversold plus the RSI would be either below 50 or above 50. It would be below negative 50. It's a directional indicator. And I also like to see the ADX at a very high value. Now, none of those conditions are apparent right now on any of them, but you are approaching those levels on the USD JPY. So I'm going to click on that and the charts will change. And what I like is the ADX is at 72 on this. The RSI is right at 45. So it's just approaching that overextended area. Now, what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that more than likely this market is going to retrace down to the ATR. Now, you have several opportunities to trade this. You could use binaries, you could use spreads, you could use touch brackets, or you could actually trade the spot Forex market. Now, has the trade come in yet? No. But this is where my alerts will come to my cell phone and let me know if the conditions are met and I need to come and look at the computer. So this is very similar to what I want. What I would actually be looking for on this would be for the divergence here. I want it to be finalized. We don't have a strong reversal bar yet, but that's what I would want. I would also want this to be right at the point of being overbought or oversold. In this case, it's about, it's less than 3 points from being overbought. And of course, the ADX is at 74. Now, once this bearish bar forms, that's when I'm going to look at entering. Now, do I always wait for the completion of the bearish bar? No. If it was to come down to about here, I would probably be looking at my lower time frames to time my entry. Now, the one thing about the ADX is it will form a peak, which means you'll have that little pink dot right here, okay? And that is what indicates it will come down to this ATR. So that's the next thing that I need to look at to say, okay, if it comes down, right now it's trading at 111.05, it has the potential to move down 40 pips. So even though it's a potential to move down 40 pips, I like to say, well, we're probably going to get 25 to 30 pip move. Now, I wouldn't trade that with a touch bracket because it's not enough room for me to trade with a touch bracket. What I would prefer would be a binary on this one. It might be a couple of binaries. I could do a couple of 2 hours in a daily, like for 11 a.m. or 3 p.m. So this is the way I measure, okay, which one am I going to use? The bigger this move is, the more likely I am to use a touch bracket. Now, the next thing I look at is to say, okay, do we have any magenta peaks? And you can see we have a couple. There's the USD Swiss franc. There's also the British pound dollar. Now, We can go look at this one on the USD Swiss franc. I can already tell you the RSI is only at 37. Um, so it's not totally overextended yet. You can see that here. You can also see the magenta peak here. So yeah, this may come down to, 1.0049, but it doesn't have the criteria because this is not overextended. Even though it may come down, it's not my preferred trade. Now let's go and look at the British pound. See what it looks like. Now I can already tell you that the RSI is at -7, so I know it's not overextended, okay? But in this case, we're expecting this to come up to this ATR, which is at 29.12. Right now it's at 28.30. So that would be almost a 100 pip move. This is one I would be looking at probably to trade either with spreads or with the touch brackets. I really like the touch brackets. So you can also see that we have that magenta peak here, and I would think that this would push it back up to the ATR. The one issue that we have there is that the weekly is overbought on the stochastics, so you're going to have to watch out for that one. You also need a bullish bar here. This is telling me I've already had divergence with the ADX, considering we just made a new low. If we get that bullish bar, you're also going to have divergence on the ADX as well. The next one I would look at would be the US CAD because we're oversold. And I'm just going to click on that one and see what's going on. And of course you can see here we are oversold. We have made a magenta previously, okay? It did go up to the ATR. It's come back to try to test this one and has failed so far. I do think we might get a little bit more of a rise up to 35.04 before this one is likely to come down. The conditions are not met, in other words. So the two that I would be interested in today would be the USD Swiss franc. And this one I'm going to have to use my lower time frames for. You did make a magenta peak here. This is probably one that I'm anticipating it to come down to 0050. So I would be looking potentially a spread. More than likely it's going to be a binary option. And I would go down to my lower time frames to confirm that. Now, because the ADX is blue right here, and you have to understand the ADX is a non-directional indicator. So I have to look at the color of the line. In this case, it is blue. I'm expecting it to retrace down to 1.0052. And this is where, it kind of highlights when traders are taking profits. So all of the traders that entered back here are potentially going to take profits, and that's going to push it down to 1.0049. Now, what I would anticipate seeing if that was going to happen is that the lower time frame would be red, because remember, it's going to push down here. I'm not seeing that yet, so it tells me I'm just not interested at the moment. Then if I go back to the British pound dollar, you can see this is red in this cell. That tells me it's actually going to go up, because people that have been in this downtrend are going to start taking profits, which is going to push price up. And it would be up to this ATR. And again, you're not seeing any blue here, so that tells me right now it's not the best time for entry. It may come in, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock this morning. So I would come back and look at these later on this morning. And I'd also get alerts if it comes back to the ATR. I would immediately know, okay, I have a potential entry here. So we're going to be doing these every Sunday night at 7 p.m. I have posted the link below. All you have to do is sign up for it, and we'll see what happens in the markets.